real quick before we dive into this episode of the podcast. Be sure to grab your free PDF copies of my latest books at frugal.show/free. Now on to the show. Welcome to the Frugalpreneur podcast. I am your host, Sarah St. John. This episode is what I refer to as a showcase episode where I feature a bootstrapped entrepreneur and they briefly share their tips, tricks, tactics, techniques, and tools that help them bootstrap their business and the successes and failures along the way. My hope is that each of these showcase episodes will provide at least one valuable takeaway that you can implement right away in your own bootstrap business journey. Now on to the episode.
Hi, my name is Joyce Dales. I'm the CEO of Buzzagogo and the maker of Cold Be Gone and Allergy Be Gone nasal swab remedy. I didn't always do natural medicine for a career. I was actually a high school teacher for many, many years. But after I met my husband in my early 30s and we got married, we decided to adopt a little baby girl from Vietnam. And in the middle of her adoption, she required emergency open heart surgery. And it was a really terrifying time because she was deemed immunocompromised. And that meant that every sneeze and sniffle and cough was a direct threat to her well-being. And that was a really, really frightening thing to hear when you have a new baby and you are a new mom. So I decided to learn everything I could about not only how we get sick, but how we can avoid getting sick. And over the course of her first 2 years home, I experimented in my kitchen. I was a mad scientist applying everything I had learned about how we get sick and about honey as a medicine because I've always been obsessed with that topic. Over the course of the 2 years, I created many, many versions of what is my remedy today. And I would give it to everyone I know. And I would say, here, try this, stick this up your nose. And eventually that led to my products, which today are in 12,000 stores nationally and globally. And we are officially an OTC, over-the-counter pharmaceutical product. We are a small pharmaceutical company. In order to get this little pharmaceutical company off the ground, the first thing I did was go to my small business administration and seek help from local businesses and local experts and advisors. And it was a free service. So that was step one, get help, get guidance. Because becoming a pharmaceutical company, if I had known then what I know now about how challenging and how difficult that would be, how complicated that would be, I'm not sure I would have seen it through. So I am so glad I went to the SBDC because they propped me up every time I had doubts and they helped me get my first seed money for my company. So after I made my first products, I had the big challenge of getting it to a factory and getting it created at a factory and getting it put in FDA compliant packaging and making it look like a real product. And that's no small thing. That's a huge hurdle in the beginning because that first production run is very expensive. And so you have to have faith in your product. You have to really believe in what it is that you're trying to do because you're dividing money and time from your family and you're trying to build your dream. So in going through the SBDC, they helped me secure my very first small business loan as a female entrepreneur in a woman-owned company. I did that through the Bank of New Hampshire, and I was able to do my very first production run. When we were bootstrapping in the beginning, I think my biggest success was when I had raised outside money for the very first time. So in working with the SBDC, I found out that there was a small angel investment group in New Hampshire called Impact New Hampshire Fund. And it was a women investment group who were offering seed money to female entrepreneurs in the Seacoast, New England region. So I had to prepare. It took over a year to prepare. I practiced and practiced and practiced through the SBDC for my pitch, for my Shark Tank moment. And I finally pitched in this big boardroom with about 30 people sitting around an enormous table. I pitched and I raised my first $65,000 of angel seed money. And that enabled me to ramp up production and develop 3 additional SKUs to grow my business. We had a number of obstacles thrown up at us in the beginning. And one of the biggest ones was dealing with the FDA. And as I said earlier, I'm not sure I would have become an OTC pharmaceutical if I'd known how challenging that was going to be. FDA rules and regulations are very friendly to large pharmaceutical companies and very difficult for small pharmaceutical and supplement companies. But In navigating that process, we made a ton of mistakes. We had to throw away thousands of dollars of boxes simply for having the wrong font size or not having a tiny red line in the exact right spot on the back of the box. These little regulatory issues could be dream killers when you're a small company and you don't have tens of thousands of dollars to throw away on mistakes. But thanks to the SBDC, we were able to see it through and overcome. I think my top tip for what you should do as an entrepreneur trying to bootstrap your business is, again, I'll reiterate it, get thee to the SBDC. It is the number one free resource to you as a small entrepreneur to get things rolling. They will have all of the contacts and networking that you need to get every single problem solved. For me, those problems were my first seed money, my first packaging, finding a local FDA compliant manufacturer, all of these things. Somebody's already solved these problems in your region. And you don't need to protect your idea, protect your concept, protect your business so dearly or hold it too close to the vest. Get out there, network, ask for help, and you will find it. It will save you hours, weeks, years of heartache. I think the last thing I would like to say is to encourage anyone who has a great, brilliant idea, business concept, product, whatever, get out there and get it done. Don't worry about how you're going to do it. Don't waste time like I did worrying about how I was going to make this happen. Instead, actually make it happen. Move the dial a little bit every single day, and it will happen. If you'd like to reach out to me to talk about how I brought my company to where it is today, if you want to share your struggles and see if I've got any decent advice, please reach out to me on my social media. My email is joyce@buzzagogo.com. My website is www.coldbegone.com, and that's BEE like a bumblebee. You can find me on TikTok and Instagram and Twitter, and I answer every email personally because I know how important it is, as I said earlier, to network, ask for help, go to the people that have been there, done that, and I am so eager to help any entrepreneur get past those early struggles and find a way to bootstrap their idea into a reality. If you want to try our products, please do, because a healthy nose is a healthy you. The booger biome is the gatekeeper to your immune system, so it needs to be in top fighting form. You can use a coupon I made just for this podcast called Frugal20. It'll give you 20% off all of our products. And I'd love to hear from you. What did you think of it? Was it a good experience? Did it help you? I want to know. Thank you so much, and I wish you all be well.
I hope you enjoyed that episode and were able to take away a valuable nugget of information that you can implement right away in your own business. If you feel your story would be valuable for the listeners of this show, please visit frugal.show/guest. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you haven't already, don't forget to grab your free PDF copies of my latest books at frugal.show/free. Until next time.